whenever there's depression in the relationship, there's always quarrels and fights. Know who you are, give what you can afford.
Yes.
If you're not ready for a relationship, if you know you will get into a relationship which will end up depressing you, don't get into it. Accept yourself, learn to move on. Don't sink into depression just because Kamau left you, just because Mercy left you. No, you can always move on.
Hello everyone, my name is Martha and I'm so glad to be with you here today. How are you doing? How are you keeping up? At least the sun is coming up and we are so grateful for everything and for every moment you have taken time to be with us. We are so encouraged. We are so happy to be with you here every Tuesday, 9:45 p.m. Karibuni sana, and of course I have a very amazing guest. She is very beautiful, very smart, and of course very intelligent. Haizi kuja hapa bila brain. So karibu sana madam, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Happy to be with you. You're also beautiful. Thank you. Good looking.
Thank you.
And gorgeous. My name is Evangelist Jane Koinange. And I'm glad to be here, saved, and a mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we have a mother today, so we are so blessed. So thank you for joining us. We are so blessed. Of course, big names on the building today, Koinange. I mean, so thank you very much. Today is a very special day for us all. I mean, we've been going through a lot, especially this season. From last year to this year, people have realized that relationships have actually been in a tide, only that they have not been together to realize, because people have now been given time to be together, and you know, because of the COVID situation, and they realized relationships have issues. And so we want to focus on one major area: depression in relationships. There are so many people going through so many things, and while we thought that relationships is a refuge where you find a partner and a helper, people are actually coming and being destructive together. So I want us to demystify and begin to see, how does relationships, you know, depression come up in relationships, and what are the major effects because of depression in relationships. So as we begin, I want you to really explain what's depression, because maybe somebody feels, I mean, maybe I've ever been depressed, but I don't really know if I have. Some other people have been depressed, but they don't know that this is actually depression.
Okay. It's true, depression, many people don't know if they have depression. And as I always say, depression is just a mental disorder. Just simple as that. It's a mental illness. It's different from the way you do your things. It's different from the way you act, you think, and you behave. So you find, like you have said, some people you find they have depression, but they don't know. As young people go to school, young people socialize in their lives, it is easy to know that this person has depression. Why? You used to go to college together. Maybe you are the scholar, or you are in a hostel. Every morning you could call each other, let's go to class. But you find all of a sudden this person wants to isolate his or herself. No longer wants to walk with you, no longer wants to study with you, no longer wants to socialize in any way. That's number one sign. You'll definitely know this person has a problem. Yeah.
So simply the change of behavior is a very major, let me say, connotation of who this person has been before and after, and then you begin to realize that there's a change and somebody is actually depressed.
It's a change.
So of course a change to the negatives most of the time, or is it just a major change?
It's a major change, but on the negative side.
On the negative
not
side.
Positive.
Because again, I feel some people could actually be very lively, very self-kept, but again, when they get depressed, they turn to be actually lively because they want to hide something that they have.
Yes, it's only when you want to pretend, when you don't want the other person to know that you are depressed. Why? When a mother does not want her or her kid to know that something is wrong, definitely she has to hide. When your partner does not want to know that he or she is going through something difficult, atakuwa mjovyo, very jovial, but deep in her or him, something wrong is going on. Yes.
So somebody can even change for the good. So they begin becoming different to, of course, pretend to be something they
pretending.
are not.
The word is pretending.
Pretending. And of course, you can see pretense most of the time.
But that is very dangerous. It's better to talk and to speak out. When you're depressed, it's not the best thing to pretend. Speak out to avoid the consequences which would have come afterwards.
Wow, that's a very good foundation. And at this particular juncture, I mean, for relationships, how do you realize that maybe I'm a boyfriend or rather a girlfriend and even a spouse, you know, how do I know that this person is actually depressed? Because sometimes we might never help them until we know that there is something going on in their lives. So how could I tell specifically that this person who I'm dating is actually depressed? Or
in a relationship,
in
a relationship, especially with the young, you find maybe they meet once in a while, or they communicate with the phone. In order to know that your partner is undergoing something or is having some problems, number one, he or she will cut the communication. It will not be more often as used to be. Maybe you just say hi and the person is like, hi. Are we going out? Like, today I just want to sleep. Today I just want to relax. Definitely look for that person. This person who is depressed, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, all of a sudden cuts the, you know, there's a problem with us, the women or the men. The moment your partner will cut the communication, utafikiria tu, amepata mwingine. Ameniambia akuji, wewe ndio huyo saa 6 usiku, you're running there thinking that there's another girlfriend there, which is wrong. First of all, monitor what is happening with my partner. We used to talk every 20 minutes, every evening, every morning, but he or she has just changed. Don't rush to that negative part. But number one, know what is happening. Try to learn what has happened that this person is no longer communicating the way he or she used to do. So number one thing that you'll realize in your relationship that something is wrong, or this person is undergoing something abnormal. Cutting of communication. He or she will have to cut the communication. She's no longer, or he is no longer communicating the same way. He will try to isolate herself or himself.
So basically there's some coldness that begins to creep in. You know, of course, when somebody does not communicate and they begin, like you've said, isolating themselves, you can feel that the room is becoming cooler and cooler than it used to be before. So, I mean, I love the way she's actually put it. The fact that don't necessarily think that they have gotten somebody else. First, find out probably they are going through something. And it's in the early stages where you could help each other before it gets to very, very depressing moments. Of course, the full-blown stage. So, what causes depression in relationships?
Number one in relationships. Number one, if a partner loses a job. If a partner loses a job, and this girlfriend was like, my boyfriend does, my boyfriend gives, my boyfriend drives, and all that. This lady will not be able to adapt to the new lifestyle of this boyfriend. In young people, any relationship with the young people, the moment one partner loses a job and the other person was depending on whatever this guy was getting, will definitely get a depression, which might end up kama hajamwambia that, you know what, I lost my job. We'll think hii pesa inaenda mahali ingine. And at long last, you'll find ndio huyo mbio usiku. Maybe this guy realize after losing my job, this girlfriend does not want me anymore, and will look for a comfort somewhere else. What ends up? Dead. Because this girlfriend will come running, I'll have to kill somebody, you have used me for nothing and all that. So number one, if they lose their jobs. Number two, in a relationship, if one partner leaves, the other person will not adapt to the new life easily. Definitely atafeel worn out and left out. And before he or she adapts to a new relationship, definitely atakuwa depressed. Number 3 ambayo naonanga sana ni kuachana. I don't want you anymore.
Kuachana na utaki kuachika.
Yes. Ukiachwa achika. In these young relationships, ukiachwa achika. Yes. learn to move on. You don't have to sink into depression just because your boyfriend amekwambia it's over. Your girlfriend has told you it's over. Just move on. Talk to somebody. If you can't handle it yourself, talk to somebody. Make sure that you have umejimwaga in order to move on. So that's another major cause ya kuachana ambayo it has made these young people, their relationships is no longer working. Na maybe it was something small that they could have talked and solved. But you find one partner is sinking into depression, na unapata taimenda worse. They cannot manage it anymore. Yeah.
I mean, what would you tell these young people? Of course, in these situations where relationships take place every day, I mean, when it comes to that point where you have to be left, how do you handle it to avoid getting to a point of depression? Because sometimes it's not easy, you know. People may maybe get into that deep level unwantedly because it came, I'm trying my best, but I realize my emotions are just taking control and I'm getting depressed. So how would you, of course, advise?
As a young person, you need to know who you are. Yeah. There's always me, myself, and I. Simple. If I know who am I, I'll never sink into depression.
True.
I'm in a relationship, but I know who I am. I know the person I'm dealing with. Is he hot-tempered? Does he fight? And ulimpenda despite all that. What I would tell these young people who are in a relationship, they are still in campus, they are still in high school, because nowadays you find even young people, very young, at tender age, boyfriend. I saw Gidurai another day in our class 6 and class 4, they are fighting. Ati nani nyanganya boyfriend? Like, serious? So I like telling these young people, know who you are.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the relationship? Don't get into a relationship if you are not ready for that. If you know your parents don't like you going out, then don't go out. Because the other party or the other person is expecting too much from you and you can't offer. You see, you are getting into a relationship with a boyfriend ambaye anataka you go to party at night. Whereas your mom ni bishop. Hapendi kukuona ukikanyanga nje ya gate.
Ni kesha tu.
Kama ni usiku, we go to kesha, all of us.
Yes.
So know yourself. Know who you are supposed to be. Don't enter into something you cannot offer. Usiingie kwa relationship if you are not ready for that. If you know kuna other circumstances, mambo zingine za kando kando ambazo zinaweza kuzuia to get into that relationship. So that don't give the other party high hopes, high expectations, and you can't offer.
Yes.
And definitely you not get into those depressions. Kwa sababu utakuwa unalala unafikiria fulani ananipenda lakini siwezi enda. Utakula supper. You will not eat supper. And the other person will be there with a lot of stress, thinking that ukuenda kwake you are with another guy na uko kwenu umelala. So for the young people, know who you are. Give what you can afford.
Yes.
If you are not ready for a relationship, if you know you will get into a relationship which will end up depressing you, don't get into it.
Yeah. And I mean, young people have taken relationship to its toll, to a point where you're not even married, but you've given this person so much power to your life. I mean, love yourself enough. Even when you get married, you still have to have your own personal space where you don't get overridden by these things, and life has to move on.
It is
because imagine if you're even in a situation where you're married and your husband is already misbehaving, you have children, things need to move on, you have a job. Will everything crumble because of that?
That's why mother say, marry your best friend.
Yes.
If when your girlfriend and your boyfriend, when you're not friends, imagine you're going nowhere. Marry your best friend. Let this relationship give room for two of you. Give room for trust. That I have a boyfriend, he has been sent for 1 week at Meru. I can comfortably live, I can comfortably sit, I can comfortably eat, knowing that ako job. But if you can't manage that, then you're going nowhere. This relationship will not end up in marriage. And if it ends in marriage, there will be quarrels day in, day out.
And people should know friendship is very important, because people think, yes, we will pray for a few hours, fellowship. We will, of course, people know sex is part of marriage, and they think they'll have You might not even have a whole 1 hour in that day. Those are 2 hours.
Kuokoka sio kumaanisha there will be no fight in that relationship.
Yeah, there will be all those things. But if you don't have a friend in that person, all the rest of the day, what else will you do together if you don't have that connection? So friendship is very,
very key in a
important.
relationship.
Yeah.
Very
so
key.
I want us to begin concluding. Of course, what are the diverse effects of depression in a relationship where people are still dating, but either one or both happen to be depressed? What could be some of the outcomes of depression in such a relationship?
Number one, that relationship will not be result oriented. There will be no results at all, because I can imagine a situation whereby a guy has lost his mother or her mother and has not accepted at all, and has decided to isolate. What will happen? This girl will feel lonely. So number one effect will be loneliness. And when there's this loneliness, it will mean this girl will look for comfort from somewhere else. So this relationship will not end up in marriage at all. Whenever there's depression in the relationship, there's always quarrels and fights. Because what I want is not my guy, that my guy does not want the same thing. Maybe I have come from work, ameniambia we meet, we go and have coffee, and I'm just feeling like sleeping. So what will happen? He has to quarrel. He will come to my house. If I live in my own house, we will fight. And in case he happens to see someone texting me, and maybe ni mtu niliambia tu mashida zenye napitia, aka end up kunipatia a pole message, that's where you are seeing today people are killing each other. By the end of the day, we are hearing university people, university ladies and men killing each other in a room. That person is not normal. Nasemanga, this person has undergone some stress, sinking into depression, and nobody knew. Maybe the girl knew, but ignored. By the end of it, anamua. So there's always death. When depression is not sensed in a relationship, they end up killing each other, they end up separating. So in a relationship where there is depression, there is a separation, and sometimes even ends up to death. And we pray that will not happen.
That is very, very bad. I mean, taking somebody's life because if they don't have you, they don't have anyone else.
Yes.
I mean, let's have a healthy kind of relationship where we can accept them, and when our paths seem not to cross, we all go different ways.
True.
Yes. So finally, how can we prevent depression from really taking its toll in our relationships?
If you don't want to get depression today, number one, learn to accept yourself. Accept yourself. Amenikata. I have to move on. Yes, there's me. There was Jane and John, and today there is Jane. So number one, if I want to run away from depression, I must accept myself. I must make sure that that relationship, if it has ended, I have to move on. Learn to move on. If you don't want to get into depression, accept yourself, learn to move on. Don't sink into depression just because Kamau left you, just because Mercy left you. No, you can always move on. Number three, communicate. Communicate. Naambianga watu communicate. Talk. Yes, he has left me. Na ninaona for the last 2 days I have not eaten. I wake up, niende kwa my friend, I tell him or her what I'm going through. Atakwambia labda cry until the end and then move on. So in any relationship, try to communicate, try to talk. In a relationship, you too, kama kuna kitu haijakufurahisha kwa mwenzako, go and tell him or her, hapa ulifanya hivi and I did not like it. Can you stop? If it is possible, talk out and finish. Na ukiona una sink into depression and you're alone, move to the next person, talk. I was telling somebody in the village the other day. Alikuwa anasema tajua, nikamwambia, if you don't want to talk to somebody who knows you, just go to a hospital, knock the door like a sick person. Ukifika kwa daktari, talk. Jimwage. Exactly. And that doctor will not talk to anybody else because
remember you.
Hakujui. Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I love every simple and single thing we have mentioned in this, show today. I mean, we said it's beauty with brains today, and I really love it. So probably you can give us your last message to us. Of course, we'll have a part 2. This is just a very, very wide topic.
as I have said, you can run away from depression by making sure you understand yourself. You run away from depression by communicating, by talking, and accept who you are.
Yeah.
You young person, accept who you are. Don't rush to a relationship that will end up into depression. Don't stress yourself too much for what you can't achieve, for what you can't give. If you can't offer what your boyfriend wants, run away. If you are a man and you can't offer what your girlfriend wants, because in school you unapata mtu anataka, you are in school together, you are not getting anything, but the other party anataka pesa, run away from that. Don't stress yourself for what you can't offer. Thank you.
Amazing. I mean, I don't want to even dilute anything she has said. I believe you have gotten it very clearly from her to your ears. And of course, today has been amazing. This is Decoding the Process, and we are so glad to always have you join us every Tuesday at 9:45 p.m. Jipende. We don't need people dying out of depression outside here. We are here for you guys, and of course, we love you more than you even think. And that is why we have you here today. And we have our amazing guest who has been able to, demystify everything to do with depression and bring on board how we can work on this. And because you have had this, please do not be a victim. Have a very, very beautiful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.